on because, you put out this great story on Sports Illustrated last week, a daily cover story that everybody should check out titled "The Raptors Are a Beautifully Weird Experiment." I've heard you on other podcasts. I've heard you, I've seen you tweet about the Raptors throughout the season. Was curious, like what piqued your interest about this Raptors team to begin with, as you were watching them this season to do this story?
Well, I thought they were kind of intriguing even before the season started, for reasons that were, in some ways outside of their control. Obviously, we have not had any instances where a team had to play their whole home uh, slate in a. I guess maybe we've seen situations where a team had to play on the road when they were playing at home, but never outside of their home country, which was strange. And so watching them have to do that and watching them trying to make do with last year with injuries and the pandemic and playing in Florida, it was just a rough time for them. And between that and Siakam needing surgery and struggling, prior to that, I think it would have been really easy to forget that this was a team that, granted, it lost Kawhi Leonard, but aside from that, still kind of, if it was a house, it would have been easy to think that it was a fixer upper when it really wasn't something that needed that much work, and that had a little bit of an identity carved out already. And I think just lean into it more heavily once Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard were not there anymore. And so it was a pretty easy team, I think, to kind of suggest that this was a team that was capable of bouncing back. I think it was a question of, to what extent will they bounce back? Will they be a playoff team? Will they be, a team that is in the play-in trying to fight their way in? Will they just barely miss? But it was easy to suggest that there was going to be some improvement. And I think you saw some of that, them kind of flirting with 500 for the first 30, 35 games of the season, and then really turning it on over the last 35 or 40 games. And it was awesome to see Siakam take a step forward. It was awesome to see Van Vliet kind of continue what he's been doing to make the All-Star team. But I think more than anything, and what intrigues me most about this team, is just that they're built. They're they know that they were going into this trying to kind of beat teams with a defense that wreaks havoc, with a defense that just has arms everywhere and limbs everywhere, that gets into passing lanes, that makes it difficult to pass around them and shoot over them to some extent, even without having a traditional rim protector, without having a center on their roster at all, a traditional center on their roster at all. It creates some challenges for them, but I think generally speaking, it creates more challenges for their opponents. And it's a really unusual way to build an entire roster. So that was what really intrigued me the most about this team.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think this is like, we shouldn't pretend like the Raptors are the only team building to a strategy. I feels like there's several teams across the league now where I'm watching it, and there are certain other defenses that have a lot of similar principles to what the Raptors are doing right now. But I think in particular, speaking to the challenges offensively to this group, because I think maybe even coming into the season, you can predict, well, the Raptors are young, but they have all these athletes, and Nick is a really good defensive coach. They can probably construct a good defense out of this. However, like for most of the season, their actual offense was actually ahead of their defense, which is real interesting. And people have covered, like, what they really got a lot of offensive rebounds, and really got out in transition. And if you nail these things, your overall offense can be good. But I'm also really intrigued by this thing that you mentioned too, about like Pascal and Scotty getting reps running the point because of the fact that Fred was out for significant portions of the second half of the season, and we're seeing him out once again now with the hip flexor and also with a bad knee. What did you make of Pascal and Scotty getting those reps running point, and how informative is that to, okay, even looking forward 1 or 2 years down the line, do you see those guys as like full-time, like, do the Raptors essentially go so all in on this thing? They're like, okay, this year they've ditched centers. In the long run, can you see them ditching point guards because of the fact that they have two guys who are 6'9" who have lots of reps now running point?
Well, I think it probably makes you feel a little bit better about not having to allocate massive resources to that position as far as free agency is concerned, which is always a good thing. And just more to the point for this particular series, um, I don't think they knew that they would be playing without Fred VanVleet. If anything, I think they were kind of happy to have him back, and for him to be able to play a little bit before he had another injury right at the end of the year, and to be able to play a little bit and get a little bit of playing time before heading right into the series, and also to get some rest before the series. Um, but not having him now, I don't think that they have much of a chance in this series. Granted, Fred was not playing particularly well because obviously he was hindered and banged up. So he wasn't great on defense in this series, and he was struggling a little bit with the shot. But that said, if you had gone into this series without the knowledge that um, that Pascal and Scotty were going to have all the reps they did during the season, but you said you're going to have a matchup against a team like the Sixers, a long team like the Sixers, and you're not going to have your all-star point guard for the series. And oh, by the way, you're going to be down 3-0 when he gets hurt.
Mm.
Like, would anybody have wanted to take those odds? And I'm sure people probably would still prefer not to be in that spot, but you would much prefer to be in that spot with your forwards having gotten plenty of reps during the season. It doesn't mean they're perfect at it. It doesn't mean that it's completely ideal, but I think it helps for moments like that. And that was what I wrote about before the series started, without knowing that Fred would miss time. Is that and I think some stuff that I didn't even have that didn't make the story was the idea of you've had to practice outside of your comfort zone, but not practice, but just play outside of your comfort zone the whole season, just because of these injuries and because of what last year looked like and the year before that. And playing on the road and everything. Like, home games last year were road games for you, more or less, to some extent.
Yeah.
So all this is weird. It's a team that, in every definition of the word, has kind of been weird. And I obviously do not mean that in a derogatory sense, but just nothing's been normal for them. And I think that they've probably developed more comfort in being abnormal than just about any other team. You're absolutely right that other teams have sought to kind of go to having longer, taller lineups, positionless lineups. That's not necessarily a new concept on its own. I do think it's a little bit unusual how far into that they've delved, to the point where you wouldn't have anyone over 6'9" on your roster. But I think more than anything, I think they're just they're comfortable being uncomfortable to some extent, more so than most teams.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it too. And I think, for the Raptors, like, maybe this is not what you ideally plan for, but I think when you're seeing the results of it, like, especially now that you're here, right? The Raptors have talked so much about getting playoff experience this year, especially for younger guys. Like, we saw in Game 5, like, Pascal had the ball the majority of the time, and if it wasn't Pascal, it was Scotty. And those guys combined for like 11 assists, only 3 turnovers combined between the two of them. I mean, I guess I'm just curious in a more like basketball nerd kind of sense. Like, do you see what are the trade-offs, I guess, like, between like running your offense through a traditional like 6-foot guard who's able to handle really well and quicker and shiftier and probably shoots better, versus running your offense through a 6'9" guy who maybe is not able to penetrate and get into the smaller gaps that small guys are, but just inherently because of their size is able to still impact the paint, which I think, especially nowadays in the NBA, most of the offenses, you get into the paint, you force a rotation, you kick it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it, in some ways, is doable in this series, just because it's not a team that has. I mean, this sounds crazy. It's not a team that has a dominant wing player that they're playing against. I mean, James Harden in some cases would be that guy, but obviously, in one of the last big stories I wrote was just how ineffective he's been for a while. I think as he's probably dealing with his own health stuff, as maybe he's kind of entering a decline from a career standpoint. It watching your 6'8", 6'9" guys have to handle for long stretches and have to guard guys that are elite at that position too. So I'm thinking about someone like Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. It's not ideal to have to carry both weights at the same time. Now, Boston, I think it works because they've got so many guys who can defend. That, as great as Tatum was against Kevin Durant, he was able to kind of let go of that responsibility a little bit too.
Right.
And also, they move the ball so well offensively to where, although Tatum is carrying a lot of the weight, the ball is being moved and he's not having to do every single thing by himself. So it's really a heavy burden for a situation like if you had, or Kevin Durant would maybe be a better example because he had to carry so much of the weight. Yeah. And also you're going to ask him to try to defend some of the better players on the Celtics roster. You wouldn't want Pascal to have to do that. And I think maybe it's been a benefit to some extent that he hasn't had to do that necessarily because the Sixers don't have a super dominant, at least for right now, a super dominant wing player. Now the challenge obviously is having to guard Embiid, which they're having to do as a group through doubles and sometimes straight up, but at least before he got hurt was often resulting in a foul. So the downside of it is that it really wears your guys down. And I think for a team like the Raptors that has dealt with plenty of injuries, you always have to be cognizant of trying not to wear someone down, even if it's not just a fatigue thing, just the idea of like the more stuff you're asking your star player to be involved in every single play, the likelihood of somebody getting hurt in a situation like that, you would think increases, and it just puts a lot of strain on them. So that's the obvious downside. The obvious upside is that if it's your best player, it's your best player. And it's the same reason that you see coaches plug their best player. And even if they've sat out the last 3 minutes of a quarter, sometimes you'll see them plug that player back in for the last play of a quarter, because the payoff of having extra involvement, even for just one play at a time, is really high. If that's your best player, and if it's your best player by far. And so I do think that there's that trade-off, and obviously that payoff for a team like this, particularly when your other all-star caliber player is out, that you're going to be leaning a lot on Pascal. So I would understand that too.